Okay, so now to go over homework for the review. I have a couple questions that I put here that some of them go quickly, but some of them take a little bit more time. But they're all great questions for what you're going to see on your quiz on Monday. So on this one it says, which of the following best describes the distribution to the right? So here is the distribution that they're giving us. I need to figure out, it's a normal distribution. It's definitely normal. It has that nice bell shape, so A is out. It's a normal distribution, but I need to figure out what the mean is. To figure out the mean, I need to go right in the middle of 14 and 20. One way to do that is to take 20 plus 14 and divide by 2. That'll average those two numbers. We get 17. That means that my middle is at 17. So we're down to my mean being 17, so C or D. I now need to figure out what a standard deviation away is. In this case, one standard deviation away is from 17 to 20 because this is 34%. Remember, 68% has to be within one standard deviation, 68%. Half of 68% is this 34%. It means that 38 or 34% is from the mean to one standard deviation away. So this is one standard deviation. If you take 17 and you add 3, you're at 20, which means that my answer is C. Okay, for the next one, it says, which of the following would be a correct interpretation if you have a z-score of +3 on an exam? First of all, that's extremely high. Having a z-score of 3 means you are 3 standard deviations above the mean. So that's what this is down here. Sometimes this 3, having a z-score of 3, people start trying to interpret that like 3%, or you're higher than 3%, or you're 3 points higher than the mean, but that is not what that 3 means. In a z-score of +3, it means you are 3 standard deviations above the mean. So the answer to that one was E. Number 17, love this problem. So the Tiger Woods problem. He's on the driving range. He drives the golf ball about 310 yards, that's his mean, and he has a standard deviation of 8 yards. So what we're doing in this first problem is we are just going through and labeling, knowing that my mean is at 310, that's gonna go right in the middle. I'm going to then add 8 yards, add 8 yards, add 8 yards to figure out my 3 standard deviations this way, and then I'm gonna subtract 8 yards, subtract 8 yards, subtract 8 yards. That is your distribution, okay? That's your distribution. Okay, moving on to the actual problem related to that. So now we wanna know what proportion or percent of Tiger's drives are between 300 and 325 yards. So I have it broken down here, but really what we're doing is we are building this picture. I'm shading in the middle. So that's like the next thing that I would do, 310. So I want to know what percent are between 300 and 325. So I have to find the z-scores at each one of those. I have the z-score at 300. I take 300 minus my mean of 310. That's the distance. It's going to be negative. Divided by 8, I have a negative 1.25. I find the z-score at 3.25. So I take 325 minus my 310 and divide by 8. I get 1.875. So that's where I'm at there. My last step is to look up those two values in our table. So I find my table and I look up this z-score of negative 1.25 and I get 0.1056, or about 11%. About 11% are below this. I look up a z-score of 1.88. That's what I would look up, 1.88. So positive 1.88, and I get 0.9699, which is 97%. So remember, when we're finding the areas in between, 97% goes all the way down but I want to take out this little piece to figure out the area in between. So I take out this 11%. So I take 97% minus 11% and I get 86%. About 86% of Tiger's drives are between 300 and 325 yards. That is what number 18 looks like. I now go on to 19. 19 is the same as a bonus question that we had yesterday. So yesterday I asked the bonus question of, what about if I scored in the 90th percentile? Well, this one is similar. This is, what if I scored in the 60th percentile? So I take out my table, and in this one, it means I'm looking up 60% in the body of the table. So when I look up on the positive side, here's 50%. My 60% is in here somewhere. Okay, it's in between these two values, 0.5987 and 0.6026. It's actually closer to this 0.5987. So when I followed that back, I have a z-score of 0.2 and follow it up, 5.25. That would be about the percentile. Again, that's just something that's foreshadowing our learning for our next lesson, but I just wanted to put another one in there. So it would be a z-score of about 0.25. That is all for this recording.